Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for joining us for our second episode, if you will, of Group Travel Odysseys, Convos with Colleagues. Now, you may ask, what is Convos with Colleagues all about? This session has been developed specifically for group travel professionals to be able to have the opportunity to connect with other like-minded professionals in the group travel field and get to connect and reconnect with people that maybe you haven't, seen at a show before, or you haven't seen in a couple years due to, different things that we all know have been happening in our world. So we invite you to take this journey with us to, once again, to connect with individuals in our field who are passionate about group travel, to learn about new happenings, to learn about products that are out there, and how we can all help each other move forward and keep our travel industry growing and thriving better than it ever has before. So today, I'd like to welcome our guest, Stacey Warren. Stacey Warren is a seasoned industry professional that I have to say I have had the pleasure of really getting to know over the last few years. We've connected at different trade shows, and beyond that, as many of us do, create really long-lasting friendships. So with that being said, I'd like to just pull Stacey up so she can say hello, and I'm going to read a little bit about Stacey and her history. Hi, Stacey. Thank you for coming to join us.
Thank you for having me.
We're happy to have you here. Thank you for putting up with me.
Always.
So I'm just going to read a little bit of background from Stacey, and then we're going to dive in for everybody. But Stacey is currently the Director of Sales for the Hampton Inn Chicopee and Springfield areas, and then also the President of the Hampton Inns of New England. So we know she's going to expand on that for us because she's the president. Now, Stacey has been in the hospitality industry since she was 13 years old. So think about that, y'all. That's quite some time. She started working with her parents at their local store. And you're going to have to correct me on how to say this. Is it Gouvin's Meat Market? Gouvin's Meat Market in Palmer, Massachusetts, which they turned into a career helping to run their restaurant and catering business. In 2005, she started at her very first hotel sales position, which has led her to her current position as the Director of Sales for the Hampton Inn Chicopee and Springfield area, which is part of the BK Hotel Group. In addition, she has been named the President of the Hampton Inns of New England organization and works with approximately 60. Yes, I said 60 Hampton Inn Hotels all over New England. So we know also that Stacey is very passionate about the hospitality industry, especially group travel, and something that is very specific to Stacey, and I think it's really part of her persona. And anyone that actually gets to meet her, whether it's over the phone or on a Zoom or in person, are going to find out that she goes well out of her way to make every guest experience and client that she works with the best it can be. So with that said, let's dive in and talk to Stacey a little bit. So we're going to keep this an informal kind of fireside chat. So we hope that you'll be able to stay with us for this whole time and see what we learn about Stacey.
Thanks, Jo.
Right. So thanks again for joining us today. And I know that I read a little bit about your bio, but so how did you really get to where you are today? We know a little bit about your history growing up, but could you take us to, how you're passionate about the travel industry and hospitality and really how you got from being that 13-year-old to where you are now?
Absolutely. And I was thinking about it after we had spoke, and I actually started more like around 8 years old. My parents actually had a bed and breakfast when I was growing up. So we would have people that would come from all over the country. And a lot of times they would come in for the Springfield Flea Market, which is a huge flea market in our area. So basically I was kind of thrown into hospitality like really young and just fell in love with it. I just love meeting new people and just really spending time and learning all about different cultures. And it was just such an amazing experience. And that's kind of led me down the road to where I am today, like in hotel sales. With working with my parents, I worked with them and my sister for a really long time. My dad actually received this amazing job offer, and he just couldn't turn it down. So at that time, we all kind of had to go our own separate ways and find our own real jobs, because I never considered it a real job because I was working with my family and my sister, and it was so much fun every single day. And it was just a great experience to be able to have that. And so I worked at a bank for a few years, which was fine. And I remember one day my sister saw an ad in the paper for one of the local hotels that was a town over from us, and they were looking for a sales manager. And she sent it to me, and she's like, you should go try out for this. And I've never done anything in hotel sales at all. So I gave it a shot. I went interviewed, they hired me, and I've never looked back since.
Wow. So always in hotels ever since you started in that realm.
Yep.
That's pretty fascinating. But I have to go back to working with your family.
Yes.
So obviously you were saying earlier, that was fun and you didn't really necessarily think of that as work. Was it ever challenging to work within that family dynamic?
Oh, yeah. It was definitely, we had our challenges, of course. My sister is 3 years younger than me, but a lot of times acts like she's the older sister because I was always the one that would get in trouble before her because, I'm 3 years older. So I would kind of set the path for her, get in trouble so she learned. So she was always the little goody two-shoes. So, that's my entire life. So there was definitely some challenges. And we were busy. We were really busy. The catering business was packed, and just every single weekend we were catering weddings or birthday parties and all sorts of events. So it definitely had its challenges, but the positive aspects definitely outweighed those challenges.
Well, and it sounds like too, when you were saying a while ago that you got to meet different people and learn about different cultures, that this really was a natural transition to still work in that field. Obviously the hotel component was a little bit different.
It was.
But that's always interesting, that journey on how people get to where they are, excuse me. And I also think too, when we're talking about family, I think for many of us, once you get into, a certain role and with a certain, in your case, hotel property, or, even folks that work at parks or restaurants or tour operators with their team, you spend so much time together. We all know we work, some pretty interesting hours in our field, that those folks become our families as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure there's always those fun dynamics too.
Absolutely.
So because you've had, such a positive length of stay, if you will, in the hotel industry, what is one of your favorite things about working in hotels?
Quite honestly, I am just such a people person. I literally feel like I live my life to make people happy. And it just brings me such happiness to be able to put a smile on somebody's face, and just to know that I am kind of a little part of that happiness that they're having when they're here at the hotel, or if I'm helping them put a trip together. I am just a little piece of that. And that goes back to when I was catering, the same thing. There was no better feeling for me than to cater a wedding and have the bride come up to me and give me a hug at the end. I was the caterer, but that just goes so far for me, just to know that I was just that little part of kind of their happiness. That's what makes me happy.
So you've always been a hugger.
I have. Yep.
And I love the fact that we're all getting back to that now.
Oh, yes. Yes. It was torture not being able to hug people.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what you do, because you've had, as I said earlier in your bio, you are president of a certain collection of hotel properties within New England. Right. And then I also know that you are dubbed the AKA Princess of Hospitality as well. So would you like to share a little bit about that?
Sure. So I'll jump into the Princess of Hospitality first, since that kind of happened first. I remember shortly after I started with my new hotel sales job, I went to the NTA convention for the very first time. Totally new, really didn't know what I was doing, but met some amazing people right off the bat, as we always do. So I remember being in Detroit, and I bought myself this shiny little tiara in the gift shop. And I remember specifically meeting and having this great conversation with Jeannie McGurn, who was also the lobster lady from Maine. And we just connected. And had such admiration for her and how she had branded herself. And because, as you know, going to these conventions is very difficult. You're there with 3,000 to 4,000 other people. So somehow you have to stand out. And so I started wearing that tiara when I was greeting my motor coach groups at my hotel. And I remember the senior group that I had that was coming to the hotel, and I did what I do. Like, I try to go above and beyond and make their stay more of an experience for them instead of just an overnight hotel stay. I really try to make it as special as I can for them while they're here. And when I was getting back on the bus to say goodbye, this little old lady was getting on the bus, and she just looked at me and she just said, "Sweetie, you are the princess of hospitality."
Oh,
And I was like, wow. And it just like blew my mind. I'm like, that's it. Like, I've just been branded basically, and started wearing that tiara to all of the conventions because it was more like a headband. It wasn't like a big, tiara, but everyone would ask, and it was a great conversation piece. And then people would start calling me princess. And I haven't worn it for probably 8 or 9 years now, and people still refer to me as princess. I actually have it on my business card. So it has my name, my title, and then AKA the Princess of Hospitality. And I just take such pride in that title. And I really try to live up to that every single day.
and it sounds like, right, she said that, and it just so resonated in it. And it does represent really who you are, and goes back to what you were saying, that you live to make people happy.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a really great title for you. And I love the fact that you haven't worn it for a few years now, but as everybody is getting back out in the world, traveling, whether it's for individual travel or group, or to travel professional trade shows, I think you might need to dust that off.
I know. I think I might have to pull it out of storage. We'll see. Maybe I'll surprise you at ABA. We'll see.
Right. We're going to see, familiar faces. We're going to see a lot of new faces, and they may not have heard of you yet.
That's very, very true. That's very true. And then the second part of that question leading me to how I became president of the Hampton Inns of New England. So I've always been a Hampton girl, like through and through. As soon as I started my hotel job, the company that I was with was building a brand new Hampton Inn. So I quickly was able to sell for my Comfort Inn at the time, and then I started selling for our Hampton Inn. And I was able to, as a member of the Hampton Inn, go to this meeting called the Hampton Inns of New England, and was just blown away by the camaraderie and everything about this group. Like, they would have speakers come in, and it was just a great time to network with other people who were in the same boat as me, that were dealing with the same sales issues as me, or general managers that would have different questions. And it was amazing. And I have stuck with that group for basically the past 18 years since I've been doing this. And just the last couple of years, I just was getting very involved in going to the motor coach shows for the organization. And then they actually voted me in as vice president of the Hampton Inns of New England, AKA Heine. It's also called Heine. So we call it Heine for short, and that gets a lot of laughs, but that's what we call it. It's our Heine meeting. So it's a little funny, but that's what it is. And at the time, our president was moving on to a Marriott property, and you obviously have to be with the Hampton Inn to stay, with the Hampton Inns of New England. So there was a vote. Everybody voted me in a couple of years ago, and I've been there ever since. And I love it. I have a great vice president who works with me and helps me out a lot. And just all of our members that we work with every day just make it such an amazing organization.
Well, it sounds like you're really supported. How is it that you can communicate, or you serve the number of Hampton Inns that you have, the 60?
Well, I mean, we have quarterly meetings. So once a quarter, we'll get together for a 2-day meeting, just through email mostly. All of us, obviously have our own jobs. So there's a lot of emails going back and forth, a lot of group texts going back and forth. But over the years now, we have like our sales and marketing committee, which I was kind of chairing for a while. And I'm still very involved with that. So I still get to go to a couple of the conventions to represent the Hampton Inns of New England, which is amazing. And it's also super helpful for all of the tour operators that I'm meeting with, for them to know that they can just have that one connection with me, and I can help them with almost 60 Hampton Inns all over New England. So basically all they need to do is tell me where they're interested in going, the dates, and how many rooms. At that point, I look through our membership and figure out which hotels I think will be the best fit for that operator and for that group specifically. I reach out to those hotels and have them send me proposals. Once they send them to me, I put them all together, and then I send it off, one nice little package, to the tour operator. And once they make a decision with that hotel that they've chosen, then at that point is when I would direct them and introduce them to the sales manager at that property. So I'm kind of acting as like a liaison for them.
Right. Well, and what I'm hearing too is, right, that streamlines that process, because you can really narrow it down to what is best going to meet the needs of that group traveling. And it takes away a lot of kind of that back and forth, because you already established that history with them.
Exactly.
So I know that I've just put a web address up for you in an email. Is that the best way for folks to reach out to you?
Absolutely. That is the best way. To shoot me an email and let me know what you're interested in, what area, and I can certainly do the legwork and figure out which ones will be the best. We can help you put itineraries together for different areas in New England. We have lots of great relationships with receptive operators in each state. So we really are trying to make it as easy and such a simple process for the tour operators, because we understand that they're busy. So that's kind of my job, is to make it easier for them.
Well, and knowing how much territory, if you will, that you cover, and that you have such a love for the New England area, with everything that you do up there, what have you done during this maybe kind of different time frame in the last 18 months, 24 months, to keep you going and keep you resilient when maybe we didn't have the groups traveling that we were used to having?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can tell you it was tough, obviously, as it was for everybody. This hotel is a part of a hotel group, and we have 3 hotels that are all right next to each other. So my Hampton is the oldest out of the 3 properties that we own right in Chicopee. So they decided to close ours down for about 3.5 months. So I was furloughed for 3.5 months. And to be honest, like, I knew that I was going back to my job, but I literally was grieving because I couldn't reach out to my clients, and like, I couldn't get in touch with people. And that was really hard. And I think I did that for a couple of days. And then I just convinced myself that that's not what I need to do, that I need to refocus, and I need to take this time to just really take care of myself. And that's exactly what I did. I was able to really spend some time and focus on me and my happiness. I spent a lot of time up at my house in Maine, which is like my little getaway retreat. So I loved all of that time. And then just got to spend so much time with my family, and it was just amazing. And in all of that, one of the greatest things that came out of that was just connecting with a good friend of mine and now business partner, Jillian Palmer, and we started our own business, 3 Chicks Hospitality. So really exciting. And that all came, like, people thought we were crazy for starting it during a pandemic, and we disagreed and thought everyone is just starting to get out and starting to travel again, and a lot of these restaurants and attractions need help. And we wanted to position ourselves to be ready for when all these groups are ready to come back to Western Mass. And that's what we did.
Well, it sounds great, because not only were you taking care of yourself, you knew that you'd be ready to go when your hotel was ready to bring you back in. And once again, being able to support that whole area through your hotels and through your 3 Chicks Hospitality. So you got to even channel that entrepreneurial spirit that you've probably had, but didn't have the time to consider before.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. You're a real asset to the New England area. And I hope they realize that, and they also have, of course, the Princess of Hospitality.
Right.
My gosh. So when I think about it, though, right, you had mentioned the word grieve a little bit, but from that point, it sounds like you kept moving. So is there maybe something that motivated you or inspired you? Was it spending time with your family, or how did you keep going? Because, who's ever watching us today or in the future, they may be going through the same thing, or may just want to hear what you have to say that might help them in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just honestly was a mindset. My entire life, I've been a very optimistic person, and sometimes to a fault, where people are like, oh my God, like, stop, you turn everything into something positive. But that's exactly what I literally had to make myself do, because I wasn't feeling very positive when it first happened. And I just really had to refocus, and I just had to start thinking about all of the things that I did have in front of me and just enjoying all of those times. And really, like I said, just taking care of myself and making sure that I was happy, so that way everyone else around me could be happy. I had to start with myself first. And I feel like that is the most important thing, to be able to spread your love and happiness.
There you go. Well, I have to say, during my grieving period, I was not socially distanced enough from my refrigerator. So we're having that breakup right now. So that is taking place. But I'm keeping moving forward, and talking to folks within our industry and staying connected with great folks like you is always very helpful. So I'm sure everyone who does connect with you feels your optimism and your positive spirit. So
I hope so. And I hope that more reach out. I that's one thing about this industry, is we literally are all a big family. And I truly believe that. I feel like you guys are all family.
It does make things a little harder when we can't connect.
Yes.
So this is another reason why these sessions were developed. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you bringing that up again, that it is more a family and a friend aspect in the business that we do.
Absolutely.
So in saying that too, what would be, with all of the traveling that you've done, whether personal or on business, could we ask you maybe what was one of your fondest travel experiences?
I've been trying to think about this, and I honestly, I can't think of one that totally stands out. I have so many great memories. Just going to the conventions and being able to experience different places is amazing. But to be able to do that with all of my friends and colleagues is so great. Probably, I guess, one of my favorite trips that I went on with my family, we went on a cruise a couple of years ago, and it was my mom and dad and my sister and her family and another couple and their family. And it was so fun to just be all together. Our kids are all teenagers now. So to be able to spend all that time and just have nothing but fun for 10 days was amazing. I would do that trip every single year with them. So that is probably one of my most favorite.
May I ask this? Do you recall the destinations that you went to?
Nope.
Doesn't even matter. Right?
I don't even remember because it didn't matter where we even were.
But that's a testament too to also that shared group experience, which that's what we want for any of the groups that travel, right? We all want to do our best to create that space, or bring them to an area where they can enjoy life, right, outside of what they see every day.
Exactly.
So whether you're a student, whether you're in the middle of your life and your career, or whether you're older and taking some time to yourself, retired, you can still go, you can still see. And that also makes us, most of us that love to travel, we're lifelong learners, right? Experiencing different cultures, different foods, different aspects all over the world.
Absolutely.
So I have to say for myself, as far as visually stunning for me was a business trip I was so fortunate to go on that actually took us up into the mountains in Canada, and they were so majestic on the West Coast. So it was to the Banff area in Canada, and we were only there for a short few days on business. So that is on my bucket list, if you will, to actually get to go back there and really get to partake in everything they have to offer. So maybe we'll all have to go on a trip there.
All right, let's do it. Sign me up.
Gosh. So I'm just curious, if there was something, just going back to the overall hotel aspect, and we know that you really, I'm going to use the word love your Hampton brand, and what makes Hampton so, why do you appreciate and love Hampton so much?
So honestly, for me, it's the consistency of the product. Like, when you walk into a Hampton Inn, you know what you're going to expect. And it's always great. It's always comfortable. It's very group friendly for student or senior groups, any groups coming in. And one of the things that always stood out to me is they call it Hamptonality. And I feel like I have Hamptonality, like running through my blood. And that is basically just hospitality. Like, it's just another word for hospitality. And the actual logo, and we have this on the wall in almost all of our Hampton Inns, and it says, making you happy makes us happy. And like, that's my life motto anyway. So I don't think I could have picked a better brand to be representing.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Because as soon as you were saying that, before you even said it again, I'm like, yeah, that's her life motto.
Yep.
Everybody that's out there, doesn't it make you want to just reach out to Stacey?
Go ahead.
Call me. Okay, so now I'm going to flip to the other side of that, because all of our businesses have certain challenges or certain things. If there was one thing in the hotel world that you could change, or you found, oh, that was something that hopefully I won't have to work through again, what might that be? I mean, it could be a funny experience. I was just curious.
Yeah, I don't really know that I've had too many. I mean, recently, I say, like, since we reopened the hotel, like, we're in pretty good shape right now, but we were like pretty short staffed, as in everybody else. So I was wearing many, many hats, helping with breakfast, helping with front desk, helping in housekeeping, and which I am happy to do because I'm a team player through and through. But that was definitely a little challenging because the hotel was getting really busy, and I just couldn't be all places at once. So I guess that would maybe be my only kind of like, oh, that was a little stressful, but knock on wood, we're in a good spot right now, and we've got a great staff here. So.
Right, because thinking about it, everybody wants to get back to doing what they do best, right? And you'll split yourself and you'll divide your time to make everything happen, like you're saying, a team player. And I'm sure many of the folks out there in our industry have done the same. But to be able to get back to supporting, the area of the business that that you're best at, I'm sure it does make a big difference. And I can very much appreciate that, and I'm sure others can as well.
Yeah.
So we know hospitality is running through your veins. Is there anything that you like to do, outside of work? I know I am going to ask you about volunteering.
Yeah.
I do know that you love the beach.
I do. I am a beach girl. I could live in a tank top, my ripped jeans, and flip-flops every day of my life and be perfectly satisfied and happy with that. But I do understand I have to get dressed up for work every day, so it's fine. But I do love the beach. I just love the ocean and how calming it is, and I've always been drawn to the beach. So that up in Maine, the beach there is my favorite, but my second favorite is down in Siesta Key. Like, I just love it there so much, and those are my favorite places. But volunteering, I do quite a bit of volunteering. Currently, in addition to my job and then being president of the Hampton Inns of New England, I'm also on the board of directors for our local chamber, and I help co-chair 2 of their committees. So we actually do a golf tournament every year, and I am a co-chair of that tournament. And quite honestly, I can tell you last Friday was the very first time I've ever golfed in my entire life. I am killer at mini golf, but I've never actually golfed on a course. But for the past 5 years, I've been running this golf tournament, and it was super fun, and I loved it. And I'm pretty good at organizing things, so that's why they like to keep me around. But then we also have a new committee. We're doing a 5K. It's like a thriller 5K, so it's going to be a spooky one. It's actually this Saturday, so it's really fun. I'm just happy to be able to work with the chamber and kind of volunteer my time so that I know that it's benefiting our community, and that's really satisfying for me. And another thing that I love to volunteer at is ABA. And I know that you and I have spent a lot of time in the orientation committee together, and that was always one of my favorite things to do. And I am looking forward to being able to do that again, is to be able to help all of the star or the new delegates at ABA, since I've kind of seasoned and I've been doing this for a little bit. So it's really nice to be able to sit down and be able to help some people that are a little overwhelmed by the whole experience.
Well, and I think that's a great lead into with your background and the volunteering that you do as well. For someone that is new, possibly maybe not new to hospitality, but maybe new in their role, whether it's in sales or front desk, because I'm thinking mainly about hotels right now, but your answer doesn't have to be specific to that, but some bit of advice that you would want to share with someone new coming into the industry.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, my biggest thing is that ultimately this industry is all about relationships. I've felt that since day one. You know, I was that new person at the convention, and I had my flip book that had my pictures of my white duvets and my curved shower rods. And I learned at my very first appointment at ABA back whenever, like a long time ago, that I'm not there to sell my hotel. Honestly, like at these conventions, I'm there to sell me, and I'm there to sell our area. So building those relationships with these tour operators and fellow suppliers is priceless. And every year, like, I work on making new relationships, and then also just working on the existing relationships that I have, and that those relationships build up trust and loyalty. And once you have the trust and loyalty of a lot of these tour operators, they are going to want to keep doing business with you because you're friends, and they know that they can trust you to take care of them. So ultimately, I would say relationships are like number one.
I would have to agree with you in that fact. That has been part of what I would consider my success as well, because, right, you represent your properties, which you are passionate about, you are invested in. Otherwise, you wouldn't spend your time there, and the length of care that you devote not only to your products, your properties, but also to the groups coming in. But knowing that if people are to transition, and we know many others in the field have gone from one area to another, that people do kind of follow them, are excited if they see them in a new role. How can they support them?
Right.
So I think what you're saying is so very, very key, especially, now. It always has been, but even more so now. So I think
I feel like that too. Yeah, it's definitely even more important now, especially since we haven't been able to see a lot of our friends and colleagues for a year and a half, and that's a really long time. So yeah, it's definitely more important, I think, now.
Do you think too, when you were saying, about some of that time frame you had off, and you were able to spend some time with family, and we talked about channeling some of that entrepreneurial spirit, that has kind of centered you at all, or you've always been that balanced person?
No, it definitely centered me. It really did, like I said, just make me kind of look inside myself and realize what it is that ultimately is making me happy, and then just putting focus all on that, just to keep myself focused. It wasn't easy at first. Like, I'm not saying, even for me, the most optimistic person in the world, it was definitely challenging some of the days, but I just had to wake up with a new outlook and just know that things were going to get better. Know that we are going to be seeing each other again, and groups are going to be traveling. The hotel is going to be sold out, which now is sold out almost every night. Like, things are getting better. I had a motor coach group stay here on Saturday night, so I came in to greet them. That's just something I like to do, to be here personally when they all arrive and make sure everybody is happy. And when they all left on Sunday, I was here for their breakfast as well. And And literally when I was saying goodbye and thanking them for coming, started crying. Like, and I feel like I'm going to start crying now. Like, I just get so emotional and just so happy to have people and have groups coming back. Like, it's an overwhelming feeling.
Right. To see motor coaches back out on the road.
Yeah.
And
amazing.
Right. Because we all know in our business that there's so many, we're full circle. We all have to be there for each other. It's not one component that leads the industry. No. We are all this puzzle that comes together for those experiences.
Absolutely.
You know, whether they're in New England or elsewhere in the world. But there has to be those people there, such as yourself, to care and want to be there also to take care of the groups. And I know you also take care of individual business travelers as well.
Of course.
You know, groups is in your heart. I know it.
It is. It always has been. Always has been. There's nothing like getting on a bus and greeting them and welcoming them and throwing a couple jokes their way, you know, making them laugh, because my family doesn't think I'm funny. So if a whole busload of people is laughing at me, that makes me feel pretty darn good.
Is it when you bring up the term Heine that gets them laughing?
Oh, yeah. You know, I don't actually usually bring that up on the bus, but I might have to start doing
that. So as we kind of wind down a little bit, is there anything else you'd like to share with the viewers that you just want to express, whether it's about you as a person, the industry, your Hampton family, anything that you want to just put out there to the world?
I mean, honestly, kind of like I said, I just feel like we are getting stronger and we're moving forward. And I refuse to use the term new normal. We're just living our lives right now. We're doing the best that we can every day. And I just want everyone to continue doing that. And I cannot wait to welcome everybody back and give everyone a big hug.
And wear that tiara. We want to see it. Your groups are going to be looking for you now. Wear that tiara again.
Yeah, I'm going to have to pull it out. I'll pull it out.
And folks on the showroom floor, we got to bring it out. You got to dust it off, girl.
All right. I'll see what I can do.
With that being said, for any operators that, you know, or even supplier colleagues, other hoteliers or whatnot, where obviously we saw from the banners, you know, they can reach you at your email address at stacy.warren2@hilton.com or your Hamptons of Hampton Hotels New England.com. They can reach you there. But where might they see you out and about these days?
So I spend a lot of time, obviously, at the hotel, but I am still traveling to all of the conventions. So I have some virtual appointments for OMCA, which I've been going to that for a really long time. And then the next one will be ABA in Grapevine. I will absolutely be there, and I cannot wait. And then SITA as well. I've been trying to get really involved with SITA and working with a lot of student tour operators. So I am kind of everywhere right now.
But I also think with you being everywhere, that it's just another reminder too that folks, yes, if they want to book your hotels, that's great. But having you on here, and I hope people got to know you a little bit in a different type of setting, that they have a comfort level, that they know that even if they just have questions about the industry, that you're there to help. I mean, you truly are an ambassador of hospitality.
Thank
you. I look at you as well. So, you know, we're just adding to the list of titles. So, you know, I guess eventually we're going to have to stick with one.
I'm going to need a bigger business card, I think.
Yes, you will.
Now, I welcome anybody to reach out anytime. You know, I still have some of my star delegates that I've helped years ago that will still reach out to me. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm happy to be able to help anybody that needs it.
That's wonderful, right? Here for each other.
Absolutely.
That's how we have to be. We always talk about, or you see about people being kind, and that's what we're doing. We're spreading kindness and being there to help others, which really goes back to, once again, I think your model, you live your life to make people happy. So I think that's something that as a takeaway that everyone will remember about you and how to connect with you. And we thank you so much for your generosity of time, sharing a little bit more about yourself, being out there on our second episode ever.
Yes. It's
And
an
we know we'll
honor.
be having in the future you and your partner from Three Chicks Hospitality, excuse me,
Yes.
Jillian, on at a later date. So folks will have the opportunity to connect with you again through this medium. But we thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. And for anybody who has tuned in today or seeing this as a replay in the future, we hope that you will consider joining us again. Please feel free to subscribe to our Group Travel Odyssey channel on YouTube, and you're welcome to follow us up on LinkedIn. And we're also open to hearing from anybody else who would like to be on this broadcast, because once again, we just want to keep sharing information about our industry, connecting with each other, and really just keeping folks on the road, traveling, meeting new people, being safe, and exploring the world that's out there for all of us. So thank you all so much for your time. Thank you again, Stacey. We can't appreciate you enough. And
Thank you
everybody
so
have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.